Begin WFAA News at 5 with breaking news in Arlington. James Bowie High School remains on lockdown after a shooting outside the school.
Here's a live look from the chopper flying over the campus right now. We've learned that paramedics have rushed one victim to the hospital, and as soon as it's safe to do so, Arlington ISD will be reuniting students with their families at the AISD Athletic and Aquatic facility about 6 miles from school. We have crews covering all angles of this story.
Let's start with Adriana de Alba live outside Bowie High School with the very latest. Adriana?
Well, I can tell you that it seems something is going on right now because there has been a lot of movement just in the last few minutes. Well, I've told you that the buses have relocated a couple times now while those students were on lockdown. And I just kind of want to show you what's going on. So I'm going to step out. You can see that the buses all returned to the front of the school now. I believe they're going to start the process of loading children, students onto the buses. Because like I said, they were on the opposite side of the school and now they're all in front. But something else seems to be happening, and I can't pinpoint what it is, but I'll tell you that there were police officers and vehicles and motorcycles rushing from one side of the school to the other with sirens on. At first, we thought it was maybe something to do with just escorting the buses and getting that safety aspect in place before they start to bring the children out. But now it seems like there's some sort of urgency because I'm seeing cops rush in different directions, and there's a different feeling now. Sirens again. Yeah, there's sirens are going off. So it does seem like they are after something, and we don't know what exactly that is. But at this point, you know, we don't know if this suspect is still out there, how many suspects. We don't know if a suspect has been arrested. This is still information we need from police, so it's just really interesting to see this movement that's beginning to happen. But again, as parents rushed here after they learned of a shooting that happened outside of the school, you already know that immediately that emotion and the panic sets in. Just take a listen from this parent.
It's just your emotions get the best out of you. Just so thankful to God that they're safe. Not just my daughter, but all the students. Schools are supposed to be sacred ground. We shouldn't have this kind of stuff going on at school. They should just be here so they can get their education. So I'm just really glad that she's safe and she's well. I'm just waiting to get her back.
And that parent now headed to the reunification site to be reunited with her freshman daughter. But again, we have not seen any students load up onto these buses. Mansfield police just showed up. So now we can say for sure, I hadn't seen them before. So it looks like multiple police departments now, Mansfield and Arlington are on site. And we're seeing just a really heavy police presence moving around in different locations. We do know, confirmed from Arlington police, that one person, not confirmed if it's a student, was taken to the hospital. And again, we don't know if a suspect or suspects have been arrested. So we are standing by waiting to get that information and following this moving scene. I want to toss it over now to my colleague, Scoop Jefferson. He's at that reunification site where parents are waiting. Something is going on. Yep. Scoop, there's a lot happening here. What are you seeing where you are?
Yeah, that mother you just introduced us to will join hundreds of parents here at the Reunification Center. I'm going to step out of the way and give you a look at what's happening behind me. There's a reunification team here at the Athletic Center to help parents be reunited with their students. Parents are coming here by the droves. They are in the parking lot here at the Athletic Center. They have been told to stay in their cars for now, and they will be giving signals when it is time for them to be reunited with their children. The children will be bused here, all of them from Bowie High School. The students will be dropped off on one side of the high school and then reunited in front of the Unification Center here, the Athletic Center. Parents are asked to bring identification in order to pick up their children. Again, this is the Aquatics Center. The address is 1001 East Division Street here in Arlington. This is somewhat deja vu because this is the same process that the district took when we covered the Timberview High School shooting a couple of years ago. As Adriana has mentioned, this is a very emotional process because some of the parents have been talking to their children on the cell phone just to hear their voices, but it'll be a whole different story when they actually get to see them in person. I did talk to one young man who was coming here to pick up his sister, and he told me that they got the telephone call and did not get any details about the shooting, but was relieved to talk to his sister on the telephone. She is a senior, and believe it or not, they have really never had a conversation about what to do when situations like this happen, but he is relieved that she is okay. Again, parents here at the Reunification Center on East Division Street are asked to bring their ID, stay in their cars once they get here to the parking lot, and they will be told when it's time for them to actually pick up their children. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, thanks, Scuba. I don't care how many phone calls and text messages you get at this point. You just want to wrap your kids in their arms and not let them go. A senior crime and justice reporter, Rebecca Lopez, has been speaking with her sources and has some updates from our newsroom.
Rebecca, you've seen this time and again. What are your sources telling you right now?
Well, you look, Cynthia, right now everything is so preliminary, and I want to stress that that information we are receiving is just coming in and trickling in. But what we know now is that one person was shot. We don't know if there were other people that were injured, but it was not an active shooter situation, where normally when you see that active shooter situation, you will see more mass casualties or victims hurt. We don't know the type of weapon that was used yet, but when we've seen the other mass shootings, we have seen the suspect use a high-powered rifle. So again, there would have been more people injured. So now, for now, it appears that this is more isolated, that perhaps the people that knew each other, that were involved in this, knew each other. A week and a half ago, a student was shot at Wilmer Hutchins High School, and authorities in that case also believe that the victim and the shooter knew each other. Cynthia, typically they believe that when something like this happens, if it's more isolated, you will see fewer casualties.
Rebecca, I know in the wake of Uvalde, the state ordered schools to upgrade their security protocols. From what you've seen, is there an indication that it's been enough?
Look, it's difficult to make schools a hard target because there are so many different ways a shooter can get into a school, especially a high school. Also, while there are school resource officers there simply aren't enough to guard every single entrance. It's just not possible. So we continue to see this over and over again. There are some districts working to make sure that when new schools are built, that they are built more securely, but that doesn't help the older schools. In this case, it happened just outside the school in a portable building. So again, that area would be very hard to guard. Now, Cole Sullivan is live with students, and I can imagine that they were just frightened. Cole, what are they saying about this?
Rebecca, scared for themselves, for their fellow students who are still inside in lockdown. But I have to tell you, this is still a developing situation where we are right now. We had more police officers just in the last few minutes rush into this area. When we arrived here around 4 o'clock this afternoon, it was a calm scene, if you can call it that. Parents had talked to their students and made sure that they were okay. They were waiting for that reunification. That has changed in the last 10 minutes as officers converge once again on this school, coming to this area. We're working to learn more information. Those students who I talked to are also trying to get more information about what happened. Many of them getting on buses that were parked just behind me here. Many of them have left this west side of the campus and gone with students, some 2,400 at this school, to that reunification area, or to load up with students to bring them to the reunification area. The two seniors I talked to said that when they heard all these sirens, they weren't on the campus at the time, when they heard all these sirens, when they heard what happened from friends inside, they didn't believe it at first. They were scared, and they were texting their friends to make sure that the people they love were okay. Take a listen.
I really was hoping deep down in my heart that this wouldn't have ever happened to my school, but now that it has, it does make me a bit scared to have to come back the next day and know that it happened at a school where I used to feel safe at, but now I really don't.
That student tells me she is just a month from graduation, and now at the end of her high school career, violence has visited her campus as well. We're going to continue to work to learn more about this developing situation, and we'll bring you updates as we have them. For now, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Cole. So again, the students are still on lockdown at Bowie High School. Those buses outside waiting to transport those children to the reunification center on East Division Street, the Aquatics Center. Earlier, you said this is playing out very textbook. What did you mean by that, Tanya?
Well, what we're seeing is they've put the school on lockdown. They've presumably they have searched that school. They've set up a perimeter. We have seen those police officers out in that field looking like they're looking for something. And I think that the school district has been careful not to release too much information, right? I mean, because there's a real line here between inciting panic, but also making sure that whatever information you're putting out is correct. And we've also seen them set up a reunification center, release to parents where their kids need to go. Where they need to go. You need to have an ID. So all this, unfortunately, is textbook.
Yeah, a lot of pulling in a lot of threads simultaneously, not only dealing with the student who was, or the person who was shot and wounded, but also looking for the suspect who actually committed the shooting and making sure that the students who are still there on campus are protected and as safe as possible as well.
Yeah, and that's what we would expect from school districts. And like Rebecca was saying earlier, it is very difficult to harden a high school completely. I mean, there's so many entrances. We saw that with Wilmer Hutchins, where they had metal detectors, and we still don't know exactly how that kid got that gun onto that campus. Yep. So, and this happened out by a portable building. So, how do you prevent somebody from bringing a gun there?
And then you listen to sound from the mother that we heard from just a few minutes ago. I heard you saying earlier how your son attends school in Arlington, and like Chris said, I'll echo. I mean, these parents still haven't been reunited with their children. Can you imagine just how agonizing this must be? I mean, you just want to get your eyes on your kids.
Yeah, and it's an agony I hope I never have to go through. But yeah, my first thought when I heard about this was Arlington, which school? Yeah. Because my kid is in that school district, and so it's hard for parents. And I think you're a parent. We're all parents, so we can all feel it in our guts when something like this happens. Yeah. The fear. And then I heard one parent earlier said, when Adriana asked her how she felt, she said, "Just dread, just dread." Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, like we said, the students, we are waiting for them to hop on those buses and be transported to East Division Street.